Alright guys, good morning. Okay, it's new IEM day. We've got to come out with something in this sub $100. Let's call it the $99 category just to make people a little more interested in buying it. What do we got? I'm thinking dynamic driver and a balanced armature. Keep it simple, tune it well. What do you think? Give me your thoughts.
Boss,
Was that?
we just got dropped off 500,000 new BAs.
What?
Yeah, I don't
Who
know.
the
This
hell?
came in.
We ordered like 7.
I don't know. It's here now.
So we've got a new IEM today guys. 1 dynamic driver and 4 balanced armatures. Let's make like 100,000 of them. Okay, great. Go. That's right folks, the ZiiGaat Cinno, possibly the Cinno or the Cinno, anyway, has a dynamic driver and 4 balanced armatures for $100, $99. That is a lot of drivers and you might be tempted by the number of drivers. Don't be, we've been down that road before everyone. Here's the deal, it's fascinating because when listening to it and then measuring it, it gave me 2 different impressions, right? So first off, this is a warm bassy IEM. But the bass is reasonable. It's not the last word in detail or anything, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. The interesting thing is that bass does bleed into the mids and make it warm, but there's also a little dip in the mids, which renders male vocals a little bit recessed and also oddly a little bit lacking in detail. In fact, the whole IEM, if you listen to something that's vocal centric, it seems lacking in detail, right? But that changes when you change the type of music, and that's really odd, and normally I would just say that's not really too much of a thing, but in this case it's fascinating. When I listen to movie soundtracks, things like The Dark Knight, which I'm very familiar with, so I always use it for testing, or something like the Blade Runner soundtrack, I found that this thing was phenomenal. So there's a few things to talk about. Number one is the detail retrieval for anything other than vocals is pretty darn decent, especially in the upper mids and the treble region. There's a hint of sharpness in the lower treble that comes through on every track now and then, but the bass is reasonably detailed. The mids and highs, when it comes to instrumental stuff, seems reasonably detailed. Just everything in that vocal range, that sort of 1 to 4 kilohertz, just seems a little bit sucked out. Having said that, this thing stages like very few IEMs in the $100 category stages. I'm talking width, I'm talking depth, and I'm talking height. No, it won't go up against something like a $200, $300 IEM. It's not going to go up against the The Hype 2 or the Kiwi Ears Quintet. But for its price, it's actually really good at staging as well as imaging, like surprisingly good. Like you can hear the quiet parts of the sound and the loud parts of the sound, and when it transitions from one to the other, it's got serious bit of impact. This is a lot of fun and surprisingly capable. I think it's let down by its tuning a little in that vocal range, and also I don't know if this contributes, but unlike most other IEMs, for this IEM, around the 1-2 kilohertz range, while measuring it, I found a bump up in the distortion level. Not audible distortion, but it never works out like this. Most IEMs are pretty flat, pretty low distortion for the most part, right? There's something odd going on around there, and coincidentally perhaps, you can also hear the lack of detail in that range. So I don't know what it is, but it sounds a bit fuzzy around the vocals. Of course, this is not helped by the fact that it's also a warm sounding IEM. But overall, if you listen to a lot of instrumental stuff, if you listen to a lot of movie soundtracks, anything that requires depth, staging, imaging, this thing is fantastic, genuinely, which is in stark contrast with the Chimera Celes Plutus Beast. That one's like 3 different drivers in one, and somehow it just doesn't quite cinch the deal. This one also doesn't quite cinch the deal. Detail retrieval is not great whenever there's that vocal range of tracks, which also covers a lot of instruments, so it's really odd. And then for a lot of other stuff where it's not concentrated in that frequency range, it's quite detailed. It's not quite there, but I think ZiiGaat might be kind of onto something. Overall, I don't know if I'd recommend either one of these outright, but out of the 2, credit where credit is due, it does space and imaging like very few other IEMs in the $100 category do. So that's very, very cool. Okay, that's the ZiiGaat Cinno. I'll see you in the next one. Stay happy, stay peaceful, stay colorful. Namaste.